Yeah, beat your addiction, live free. Ralf Friedrichs is who you see. Listen in when you're feeling low. Take back your life, today's show. Beat your addiction, live free. Ralf Friedrichs is who you see. Listen in when you're feeling low. Take back your life, today's show. Stay positive, hope, and keep faith. Stand strong against any odds that you face. Put away the alcohol and the drugs. Fill your time with the things you love. Addiction is tough, but it's worth the work. Treat your body what it's worth. Spread positivity, inspire all. If we stand together, we will never fall. I help others see the other sides of life. A sober life, letting go of the strife. So give me a call, I can help. 1-844-4405-HELP. Homeless shelters, hospitals, jails, wherever you are. I am Ralf Friedrichs and I am here for you. 1-844-405-HELP.
Hello, my name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach. I'm the host of the Take Your Life Back Today show. As an addiction recovery coach, I want to share something with you, and let me be crystal clear to leave an everlasting impact upon you. Just imagine being buried alive. You're in the coffin, but you know you're not dead. You don't know how to get it out of the coffin. You tried lifting the lid, but the enormous weight upon the lid prevents you from opening the lid. You then try to lift the lid, hopefully, or bang on the lid, hopefully to unsettle the dirt, and people might notice and start digging their way down towards you. This is what it's like to find yourself at the lowest point of alcohol and drug addiction. You know you need help, you know you can't do it on your own, but you don't know where to turn. In reality, there are people standing by your grave. You just don't know that. You just think you're going to die. Usually, though, people don't think about death when they're habitually abusing drugs and alcohol. In order to feed an addiction, you have to be great at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind while you were abusing drugs and alcohol that you might overdose and take something away that God had given you called life? And if that's not bad enough, to take that life away from the people that love and need you most, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your children, and your grandchildren. Please, with that, let me leave one last thought. Don't be like the person that I just spoke about that waited until it was too late. Pick up the phone and call me at 844-405-HELP, and I promise you, I will help you take your life back. This is my last show for 2016. I'm sorry about my deep voice and my scratchy voice. I am just recovering from a cold/virus. But this is officially my last show for 2016, and what better way to end it than maintaining abstinence versus achieving sobriety. Think about those words. Recovery requires more than abstinence. Just because an individual manages to stop abusing alcohol or drugs does not necessarily mean that their problems are all behind them. The reality is that stopping the substance abuse is the first step in a long process that leads to full recovery from addiction. Those who remain abstinent from alcohol and drugs without achieving sobriety will struggle to find a real enjoyment in life. Such people would be better off or described as on the wagon rather than free addiction. Let me fix this camera. I feel like I'm reading so far away here. Let's go right over to here. This should do it now. The risk of relapse will always be high for the individuals. In many ways, my friends, their life in recovery may mirror their life as an alcoholic. What is sobriety defined? In common speech, it is usually to think of sober as meaning Any individual who is not intoxicated, but the word can have much fuller meaning. In recovery, the word sobriety usually refers to something a lot more than just drinking alcohol or abusing drugs. Those who advocate the 12-step program view sobriety as a life where the individual is not only free of addiction, but also moving towards complete physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health. Abstinence is something that can be forced into individuals by others, but sobriety requires a lifelong commitment that requires personal effort. Getting sober in this instance, is not once-off event, but instead continuing process. Dry drunk syndrome. What is that, my friends? A dry drunk is an individual who abstains from alcohol or drugs, but continues to act in much the same way as they did when they were drinking. They're not using alcohol, but in many ways they are far from sober. In AA, it is common to hear about people who haven't touched alcohol in years, but still manage to find sobriety. Such individuals can be difficult to be around because they are bitter, resentful about their abstinence, and they do not appear to be enjoying life, though they have stopped using the drugs and alcohol. The white-knuckle effort of staying sober day after day means that in life, in recovery, is not much fun. Some of their family and friends may ponder if things weren't even better when they were drunk and hoping maybe they should even go back to drinking. The reason why people become dry drunks is that they get stuck in recovery. The early years free from addiction involve many hurdles that need to be dealt with. This is a struggle because addicts have poor coping skills for dealing with life. New strategies have to be developed in recovery, and these are required or acquired by confronting obstacles, overcoming them. It is the lack of ability to cope with life that attracted such people to alcohol abuse in the first place. Just removing alcohol is not going to be enough to allow the individual to find happiness and comfort in their life. As the individual meets each new challenge, they develop and grow. Sometimes, though, a challenge comes along which the person in recovery refuses to face. They get stuck and will not be able to progress any further until that challenge is dealt with head-on. Many of those who fail to progress will end up relapsing, but the minority somehow remain abstinent for years despite being stuck in recovery. What is criticism of dry drunk concept? The term dry drunk is most often associated with AA philosophy. There are some in recovery who find a description unhelpful and misleading. The problem is that the words dry drunk can be used in a judgmental way to describe anyone who is not following the AA program. Despite concerns about the misuse of the term, it can also be useful for describing a condition where a person is in recovery but is not making progress towards setting a goal. What are the signs of dry drunk syndrome? There is usually plenty of evidence when an individual is abstinent rather than sober. The most common symptoms of dry drunk symptoms include the following. Self-pity is a common feeling for those who are in the midst of dry drunk. There is a famous saying in AA, pour me a drink. Denial is a problem for people who are stuck in recovery. It is this refusal to acknowledge the problem that means that they can't get unstuck. Overconfidence means that the individual refuses to accept that they might need help for anybody else. The individual is likely to turn to unhealthy behaviors in an attempt to escape their dissatisfaction with life and recovery. This could mean abusing other substances or behaviors such as overworking. It is common for a dry drunk to romance to drink. They can only remember the good times with alcohol that makes them bitter about not being able to enjoy it anymore. The dry drunk will tend to have a low tolerance for stress and hardship in life. They can easily become upset and irritated over the slightest little things. This makes such individuals difficult to be around. The person who is stuck in recovery will stop making an effort to build a life free of alcohol. They will often suffer from loneliness and feel depressed about their situation. It's like they have decided to wallow in their own misery. How to deal with dry drunks. Recovery from alcohol addiction should always mean moving towards a life that is fulfilling and enjoyable. People can lose their way, but there is almost always a way back on track. Most individuals will have to deal with at least a brief period where they get stuck in recovery, but there is always a way to move forward and continue. The important thing is to recognize the problem and to take steps to fix the situation. Help can be found from support groups, counselors, sponsors, and addiction. How do you achieve sobriety? Sobriety is a journey, and all individuals need to, for success, is to keep on moving forward. That means facing all the challenges that appear along the way and seeking out the right type of help and support. As the months, years in sobriety add up, dealing with life becomes a lot easier. It is important to realize, though, that the end of the path is never quite reached, no matter how long people remain sober. This should not be because you have a concern, as most of the fun in life is gone, but it should be a concern that should be eliminated, because life can be a journey of fun and happiness. So sobriety, one day at a time, 24 hours at a time, can be fun. It's all up to you. I choose to take sobriety as a challenge each and every day. When I wake up, I say, today is another day, another 24 hours. But make sure you know the difference between sober and between sobriety and abstinence, because a person that is an abstinent, they will not drink like a person in sobriety, but their actions say otherwise. They still act. They're nasty. What they do is just things that an alcoholic or a person on any type of drug influence is still doing, only without the alcohol and drugs. Study the differences. I have a hard copy of this. Email me at Ralf, R-A-L-F, at Take Your Life Back Today Show. I promise I'll get it over to you. And call me at 844-405-HELP, and together you and I will help you take your life back. May God bless you.
but never got an answer, and wondered if God was really there. Did you feel all hope was gone, but in His time He came along and answered the prayer you thought was gone? There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. Will ask, you shall receive. No matter what it is, I still believe. There is no prayer too small, and even when we fall, He gives us just exactly what we need. just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no